Hey everybody, so today we're going to be looking at the F9F-8 Cougar. It's not a great plane, it's not an awful plane. My biggest issue with it is the acceleration and climb rate is fairly weak. I don't actually mind it in a turn fight that much, and overall, and it does come with two stock Sidewinders. That one, the 163, turns a little too hard. They're only AIM-9Bs, so they're not the best. I actually give up on the 163. I'm like, there's actually a lot more going on up here in the 163. Seems like he doesn't want to fight. So we're going to go over here, prioritize the bigger group, see what we can do. Fire one at the Seahawk. We see this 163. Don't manage to hit him. We actually do manage to hit the first missile, I believe. No. Oh, no, we hit the first missile. We just didn't. It didn't kill him right away. It just set him on fire. So we're actually one enemy down. We're not pulling back in right away because we don't want to get swarmed. So now we're pulling it back. And we're going to try to keep our speed as much as possible. This thing is not very good at, like, it can maintain its speed reasonably well, but if you lose it, it's not very good at getting it back. So now we're going back in around, and we're looking for targets. The 163, easy target. He's following our teammate, he's not paying attention to us. But, like, ultimately, that's too hard of a turn, and the A-28 is looking at us. And we take him out. I think he was trying to duck under our joust, which didn't quite pull enough, like he didn't have enough room to move. Because he was trying to go under it, and like, you can't really move in that scenario. So here we see this 163, he's going to try to go under our joust as well. Quick burst, out. So we're already up to 3. The Vampire is chasing our teammate, the 262 is obviously the more immediate threat. We're kind of getting lucky, because despite being surrounded by enemies, our teammates are pulling them off, or we're going into 1x1x1s. So like, getting in these constant 1v1s is beneficial a lot. The 262C decides to go up. I personally don't really understand this move. Like, I think he believes he has a lot more energy on us than he really does. We have to spray a little with these guns, and I'm like, you know, this guy is stalling out. We should be able to get this right. It takes a few more shots than I would have liked, but we do eventually get him. So there's our 4th kill. And at this point, basically all of the enemies are either dead or RTB. So, you know, great scenario for us to go ahead and RTB our own selves. So we'll go ahead and speed up the playback. But overall, like, we got a little lucky there in that like, we had enough teammates around that we were able to take a bunch of individual fights. We had 2 enemies who tried to avoid the head-on, but like, it was just a little too obvious they were avoiding the head-on. And we have to belly land. The landing run on this plane is a little too long, so I actually don't really care for the belly. I think you have to belly land if you're in a situation like this where you think it might be urgent. Now at this point we have 1 enemy left. It's a Vampire. We did have 2 enemies left, but fortunately the tail gunner on the H5 actually took care of one of them, so that's really beneficial. We know our last enemy is a Vampire because we saw him. So that's essentially what we're doing right now, is we're going after the good old-fashioned Vampire. We're going to try to keep altitude, and he's most likely going to go for the H5. So that's what we're watching for. We're keeping an eye on the H5, and we're trying to gain enough altitude that we can jump down on the Vampire if we see him. The Vampire might come up to meet us, in which case we'd have to dogfight, then it would get interesting, and here we get a spot on the Vampire. I think it's from one of the AI planes. But that's pretty helpful in knowing that the Vampire is pretty low altitude and moving fast, so the Vampire is probably not going to come up and meet us. He's probably going to try to go after the H5. So, hello H5 teammate. Good news, we're going to be using you as bait for the duration of this mission. Romeo 84. So, sometimes that's just how it goes, though. Like, we're not going to... We might be able to save Romeo 84, we might not. We do end up getting the Vampire, though. This is an ace. Stay tuned to find out. And this is where the approach is kind of significant. Like, we don't just run straight out the Vampire. It doesn't really make sense. We're taking a bit of an angled approach because we don't want to... If we go directly at him, that doesn't give us the position we want. This is where I'm, like, trying to figure out if the Vampire is... The only reason I'm kind of pointing towards him is because I want to nose down to get some more speed. Like, we have more than enough altitude to take this, but, like... I need airspeed right now. But the reason we're not like going directly at him is because it doesn't give us the best position. We want to get a position that we can leverage into a good shot or a good position so that we don't need a good shot. We can just spray as much as we want. And here, I'm actually like, the reason I'm breaking off is because I want to get a better shot for the Sidewinder. Like, I want to get a shot directly behind him where I think the H5 is clear. And I think, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm pretty sure that's good for range, and it'll clear the H5. And it does. So that is the last enemy down, and that is an ace for the F9F. So we got 2 missile kills, we got 3 gun kills. Overall, it's a pretty smooth game for the aircraft. I'm not sure if I would call it representative for the Cougar. The Cougar can be a difficult aircraft to fly, just because you'll often find enemies that get above you or a lot faster than you. So you're really, against those enemies, you just have to rely on defensive flying or your maneuverability. The Sidewinders help a little, but definitely aren't the be-all, end-all, because they're only AIM-9Bs. Overall, I've been having fun with the aircraft. I think it definitely works, but your mileage may vary. Have a nice day, everybody.